We're here. We're live. I've got it on my iPad, so I'm just seeing if the sound's coming through all right. Appears to be working. There's a bit of a delay. There you go. That's how I'm seeing it anyway. So I'll switch that off now. No. Right. Don't know if we're going to get anyone in tonight. Let's have a quick look over here. Doesn't look like we've got too many in so far. Oh, is it? Yeah, but it should still say if they're online or not. Well, I've got 2 concurrent viewers, so yeah. What are we on? Sunday, the 21st of May. I haven't done a live stream since Christmas 2022. 5 months ago, according to the thingy on YouTube. I'll just wait and see if anyone else comes in, because it could be a very lonely live stream if not many people show up. Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
You must be the only other person on here then. Oh, yeah, there's the Hobbit. She's listening. Oh, 3 concurrent viewers now. So we might be getting some people in. Ben, you put my GMY. GM. Might be having a bit of a slow moment here, but GMY. You might have to be a bit more specific. It is a Sunday evening after all. Yeah, well, we don't drink, do we? What's a GMY? Oh, did I? GMT. Oh, did I really? I'll have a quick look at that. The YouTube post. Yeah.
What you saying?
Hey?
It's British summertime is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Not Greenwich Mean.
Oh, I don't bloody know. Let me just see what I put on. I'll have a quick look in YouTube and see what I put. GMT. Yeah, well, yeah, it is British summertime, I suppose. You get the idea. GMT +1. I think that's what they're saying it. That's what I see on the thing anyway. Well, I've got a light set up here tonight because it's a little bit dark in this corner. Just give it a couple more minutes, see if any more people show up, and then I'll just talk some random nonsense, I suppose. I have got a list of topics that we can.
Wait an hour at this rate.
An hour? I'm not waiting an hour. If the people ain't in here by then, I'm off. Go and put my feet up in front of the telly. I think obviously if I was live streaming regular, I would get quite a lot. Not a lot of people, but you get quite a few people coming in. You get quite a few people coming in towards the end, and then they want to keep you talking. And yeah, it's an easy mistake when you're in France, different time zones and all that lot. I should have just said 8 o'clock my time. It's what you get for trying to be clever, isn't it? Yeah, doesn't always work, does it? Excuse me. Bloody plonk. You don't have to agree, do you?
Just keeping it real.
Keeping it bloody real. I'll not make you a bloody curry tomorrow.
Alright.
Have a banana instead, yeah. So yes, I've not done a live stream since Christmas 2022, so that's a while back, and I think before that was the Christmas before. I went a whole year without live streaming. No particular reason, just kept forgetting to do it. I think the year before that they were quite regular, maybe a bit too regular for some people. I don't know, but we put them out anyway. I've got a few little topics that we'll talk about tonight. I have only been going for nearly 3 minutes, so we'll give it a couple more minutes, see if anyone else comes in. I've got all the videos that we've got planned for coming out. I'll give you a little teaser for some of those. Basically, it's all the sort of gear we're getting together for overlanding, off-roading, 4x4 adventures. And all that kind of thing. Yes, we are both very well, thank you. We've been trying to get on outside. The weather's it has been very nice, but this last day it's been raining today. So we've been out cutting grass. We collect the grass and we put the grass cuttings on top of the vegetables. But of course, with the little tractor, it was going fine. I was collecting grass, came down to the house. Hobbit says, cut this out, pull over for a drink. So I switched all the mower off. Well, it's not a mower, it's the little ride-on tractor that we tow the lawn sweeper with. Went to start it up, nothing. Absolutely, it wouldn't start. So anyway, we towed the lawn tractor up to the garage. I tried it again. It started and it was running, but the start motor was still going, and I took the key out. So it was just... I think that is the ignition. So I've ordered a new ignition for that, because that's been playing up. You used to have to switch it off and take the key out, and it would still carry on running, and then it would then peter out. But it's been messing about a little bit. You crank it and it doesn't start until you let go of the crank on it. So I pulled the plug off, absolutely corroded as arseholes. Took the ignition switch off complete, took it right out, and it's really corroded up. And it's not so you can take apart. So ordered a new one of them. That was €9, I think, with postage. So hopefully that will be here tomorrow. But the weather's not looking great for this week. The Hobbit has planted how many? 420.
Something like that. I don't know.
She has planted 420 seed potatoes. They've all sprouted. They're all coming out of the ground. That's what we cover in the grass. Rather than hilling the potatoes up with dirt, we just keep piling grass up. Last year she tried it and it worked really, really well. So we're doing it again this year. As for the Hobbit with her treatment, I did put a video out saying that it was a bit more complicated than we first thought. She had her first round of chemo, then she had surgery, then she had radiotherapy, and then she was going to go for another round of chemotherapy. And she was going to go on this trial, and I did say, it was a bit of a setback, but being on the trial, she was going to be well monitored. Well, for some reason now, the trial's not happening. So she went in to see the doctor and she said, well, is it not as serious anymore then? Because you were saying it's really serious and I've got to have more chemo. But she's on drugs and she's going to be seeing someone every 3 months. So I think... Are you happy about that or not?
Well, yes, so at least it's not having chemo.
Yeah, she's happy that she's not having chemo again. But it's sort of like, well... You were saying how serious it was. It's a high risk of it coming back and spreading and this, that and the other. Why are you now not... First of all, they said it was an admin error. And then the doctor she saw said that there was too many people on the trial already. And what was the other thing they said on there?
The other doctor, the third doctor, said that it was something to do with chemo at 16 weeks. So I think they're trying to say I already had too many.
Oh, and then the third doctor said it was something to do with the first lot of chemo she'd had for 16 weeks, and that was too many. Who knows? But she's doing all right. She's through there. Are you crotcheting? She's doing some crochet at the moment in the other room. I don't think the microphone will pick her up, but she does keep piping up. So yeah, other than that, we're all tickety-boo. We've got some plans coming up for the house, some plans coming up for the car. Obviously some plans coming up for stuff in the garden. The polytunnel bit the dust. We had a storm and it split the polytunnel straight down the middle, and it sort of peeled itself down either side of the frame. So we've pulled all the polythene out, the cover and everything, and we're going to use the polytunnel frame because we've anchored that into the ground with some big old irons that just go into the ground. We're going to grow stuff up the polytunnel frame, so things like pumpkins and squash, all that kind of thing. We can grow them up the frame, and that'll be a bit of a support for them. We have got another polytunnel frame. Here we go. We've got another polytunnel frame which we're going to put together, and we're going to have that as like a little seating area, and we're going to grow stuff over the top of it, have our seating area. Maybe I'll build a barbecue at one end, and that'd be a nice little, especially out of the sun. You get some plants growing over the top of it and round one of the sides, and it's all protect it from the wind. You put the old table and chairs in there, and all will be good. Be bloody marvellous. Solar is going pucker-ding. Apart from we broke a panel, or I broke a panel.
What's this Wii?
It's the royal Wii.
Yeah,
Well, you might have done it.
I did not do it.
As I mentioned in one of the videos, I apparently broke one of the panels.
Apparently.
It is apparently, because I didn't realise I did it. Anyway, so we're down a panel, so we've only got 9 panels, but we're still getting over 4,000 watts coming in. I don't know what we're at the moment. I'll just have a quick look on my app for this month so far. When we've been outside, we've not been able to use, well, we've not been using the electric. But, what are we on? Shine phone. Oh. I don't think we'll be looking at the Shine phone app because come on. Round and round it goes.
Mine's saying sign in.
Mine said that just a minute. I reckon the server must be down in China. Yeah. Yes, indeed. But yeah, I think we've been doing quite well on the old solar this month. I can't remember what. Let me just check the iPad just to doubly make sure. No, sorry, can't tell you any solar stats. I reckon the server must be down, which is the one downside for the Wi-Fi dongle. It doesn't go directly to your. No, it's nothing to do with the streaming. It's because the GrowWatt server is shit. Basically, it would be ideal if the dongle went directly to your device, but it doesn't. It goes dongle to the router to the GrowWatt server in China, from the GrowWatt server in China back to your router, out to all your devices. Now, there is a way that I could possibly monitor the batteries, but that's all to do with Raspberry Pi and all that kind of thing, and I've got enough on my plate as it is. worrying about getting involved with Raspberry Pis, and I will get a lead so that I can monitor the batteries with a laptop. I can just plug it in and see what the batteries are doing. But yeah, we've done quite well for solar this month, and so far this year we've done pretty well. And what with EDF gradually keep increasing their prices without telling you. We're saving more and more money as the prices go up. So it's all a 2 thumbs up from us. Obviously, it's going to be a couple of years till we sort of see a return on our investment. But has it not got a LAN or a RS4? No, but the LAN for the inverter. That's how it communicates with the batteries. And the batteries have got an output on it, but I don't know. I've got to look into it. At the end of the day, you can go to the inverter and you can go through the menu and see what it's actually doing. So it's not, and the inverter's only just in the other room, so it's not a big deal if we didn't have the Wi-Fi dongle. But I will look into other alternatives, and that'll probably make some good videos if I can come out with anything. Yeah. So yeah, as I was saying, the tractor ignition for that is coming tomorrow, but I think the weather's pretty crap this week, on and off, so we might end up having to cut the grass again before we can collect it up. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Also coming tomorrow is some parts for the car. Now, I do get a lot of grief in the comments section about owning a Range Rover and it doesn't have a tow bar. Somebody says, why have you got a car like that and you can't tow with it? Well, at the time we had two. We had the TD6 and we've got the TD-V8. The TD6 had a tow bar on it, so we didn't need a tow bar on the TD-V8. And plus, buying the TD-V8 without a tow bar, we know that it didn't have much of a hard life, or potentially. But have a look. It has a dongle that goes to China and it's off. Yeah, the Grow Watt one, it runs on pudding strings, I think, but I would say it works 95% of the time, and then it'll just one day you'll go to look at it and won't do anything. But yeah, the actual dongle goes into like a USB up in the inverter. There is a LAN cable coming out, and there is an RS 485, and I can't remember which one runs down to communicate with the batteries for the BMS. But yeah, we'll look into it. Bloody hell, I started early. I'm not used to this live streaming. I'm not used to doing so much talking. I'll have no voice left by tomorrow. Wind your neck in. So yes, we're going to get a tow bar on the car. So yeah, that'll be an interesting job. Take the back bumper off, get that fitted. Now, on the 2010 onwards, the towing electrics, I thought something was wrong, because when we got the TD6, it had the tow bar, but they disconnected it. Now, they disconnected it because it failed the MOT on the towing electrics not working. Now, that must have changed, because when I was an MOT tester, towing electrics didn't even come into an MOT. But so that must have changed. Anyway, it failed its MOT. So rather than fixing it, they've just removed the tow bar. It was all in the boot, and it was a quick release tow bar. So the actual tow frame was on the back of the car still. It was just the quick release coupling, which you had to bolt back in, and then it just clicked up inside it. It was one of those is it Westphalia? Genuine Land Rover one anyway. I got the electric kit for that car. It was about £200 or euros, whatever. It all plugged in, piece of cake. And I was like, when I went on the website to order the tow bar for the TDV8, there's a few options. There was one I was looking at which was a detachable one which came up from underneath and locked in. It was out of stock. So I found another one, which is a removable tow hitch, but it comes in, there's the back of your car and it comes in that way. So we've ordered the one, it's made in Italy. It's all European spec, got the CE thing with it, all the certificates. It's rated for 3.5 ton towing, so it's all good to go. And it is quick release, and it just goes in sort of like that way on, and then you lock it on. So that'll be interesting. But what I found interesting was there was 2 different kits for the electrics. One up until 2009, €250. 2009 onwards, €87. I thought there's got to be something wrong here because it doesn't work like that for us. But it says the 2000 or right at the end of 2009 onwards, it's a different CAN bus system. So it all plugs in the same. You've got your control box, and it does it when you plug in your trailer socket. It takes out your parking sensors, because obviously they'd be going on and off if you've got a trailer behind you, and it disables your height so that when you're driving it gets to normal height and it stays there. It's a 13-pin towing socket, so all good to go. That's turning up tomorrow. Now I'm hoping it is a complete kit and not just a removable tow hitch. I've looked on their actual website, and the reference number is the complete kit. It's the frame that goes across the back of the car behind the bumper, and all the quick release thing as well. So it was a lot cheaper through Autodoc than it was from the actual website. I think from the actual website it was €480 for the complete thing. On autodoc.fr it was €240. I thought, so anyway, I ordered it and it's turning up tomorrow. So fingers crossed, it's the complete thing. Electrics are going to plug straight into the car. Bish bash bosh. The car has already been activated for towing electrics, but I think even if it isn't, I could probably do that with a gap tool. And then we can tow the trailer. And then I can put a video out, fit in the tow bar, and then I won't get so much grief in the future. How can you have a Range Rover without a tow bar? Anyway, yes, we'll be towing the trailer around, and that will bring us on to a project we've got going on in the house. If we got the trailer, we can go and get building materials. I put some videos out. Yeah, when I put the towing electrics on the TD6, it was the same. Everything was there. It was all plug and play. All you had to do was put in a control unit in the back. The bolts were already there in the side of the thing. You just fixed it on, plugged it in here, there, and everywhere, and that all worked. So I'm assuming it's going to be exactly the same. So the little project we've got going on in the house is I did a video before the start of last winter about heating the house with solar power. 1 month in, it was a no-go. It wasn't going to work. Too bloody expensive. Especially when you're getting lower hours of sunlight. Plus, this is an old house and it's only insulated in the roof. So we didn't fill it up. We had to get some oil in the central heating system. And of course, once you've been trying to heat your things with like electric heating and infrared panel on the ceiling and all these infrared heaters, yes, when you sat in front of them, they're lovely, but they don't warm your house up. So things were getting quite damp. So we put 500 litres of oil in the tank, got the central heating system fired up, and it was like, oh my God, this is bloody lovely. The walls all get warm, and the whole house started drying out, and it was, so it's, I did say to the Hobbit, I said, I think we really need to see about a way that we can use these radiators, even if we don't use the oil boiler, we need to be using the radiators. So we have decided to put in a solid fuel boiler, and we've got to get a plumber out to see if he can plumb it into our existing system so we can switch it over from one to the other. Because if, touch wood, it won't happen, but say something happened to Hobbit, she had to have more treatment, something happened to me, and we can't be getting the firewood in from outside, we can just go out, flip a valve over, and run the central heating on the oil. So we've got to make a little bit of an alcove in the kitchen. We've already knocked a hole through into the barn, but we boarded it back up again to obviously keep the draft out. So the plan is to make like a bit of an alcove, build it up with block and beam in the barn side of things, concrete it, and then sort of build walls and a ceiling, insulate it, and then the stove can go in there, and then hopefully a plumber can come out and plumb it into our existing pipework. So it might all be good. We've got plenty of wood, and wood is fairly cheap in France, and I know a lot of people say, oh, it's not very environmentally friendly. Well, a new study has said that the burning of wood, because it's soaked up so much CO2 in its lifetime, it offsets it. So actually burning logs is more, what do they call it? Carbon neutral than, say, oil or electric heating. A lot of these French houses, or new French houses, are electric heated because they're all well insulated, so they each have like electric panels on. And yeah, so... And yeah, the one that the Hobbit's looking at, they call it a double burn, which is like the gasification boiler. So you chuck your logs in, it burns the logs, but as the sort of like the heat and the fumes go up, it sort of circulates it and burns it again. So it's quite clean burning. Air source water heat uses the I'm going that route as it works with solar. That is the trouble. Money as well. It's as you say, it's not cheap to install. I don't know if we've got enough solar to power something like that. I don't know how much sort of power they require to run an air source heat pump or air source water heating. But we've only got 5 kilowatts on our inverter at the moment. So if we had to get like an air source pump and all that lot, then I've lost track now. What was I saying? Yeah, it just wouldn't work for you got the payout for the air source heat pump, and then you're gonna have to probably put another inverter on, more panels, and it's just never ending. We're gonna put in a log burner, and well, we do keep trying with that one, Ian. He says money tree planted, waiting for it to bear fruit. Well, she saved some nectarine stone. She's going to try growing that. Don't think we'll get any money out of that, though. What's this one here? Quick question. I installed the Bevonsey LEDs you did on your L322. For some reason, mine don't work on it. Do you happen to know if they need coding of some sort? I just put them in and they worked, because it's just a bulb at the end of the day. All you're doing is taking out a H7 halogen bulb and you're putting a LED one in. I mean, mine is a 2010, so whether that makes any difference, I don't know. But I'll say I just put them in, connected them up, and they worked straight away. Absolutely no bother at all. Yeah. So I can't answer that one. Probably the place to ask would be over on the Full Fat forum. But other than that, I don't know. Sorry. So I don't know if you've at the end of the day, it should still work because, well, I'll say it should. I would think it would probably work. There'd be more chance of it working on a 2004 than it would on a 2010, because I don't know. As Ian just said, you could try reversing the leads. Oh, you've already tried that. So yeah, I don't know the answer to that one. So how many have you seen our off-roading adventures? We've had 2 so far. What are you oohing at? Well, we've got another one planned. I just don't know where we're going yet. So, with our off-roading adventures and stuff, and the series of overlanding on a budget, because glad you're liking the channel. Thank you very much. We do try and get out some Range Rover content as and when, but it can be a bit random. Got the Panda in the garage still, so that's still a work in progress. And once the Panda's out, obviously we need to finish building the wall in the garage. But the next thing to come in the garage after the Panda will be the Ransoms gang mower. I'm going to try, not restore it, but I want to have like a working. It cuts grass beautifully. It's a fold out gang mower. It's all manual. You fold it out manually with 2 levers. So you got a real mower there, a real mower there, and a real mower underneath you. If you just look up on the thing, Ransoms gang mower. It's a 7'2" wide cut. It's got a Kubota diesel engine in it, but it stopped driving forwards. You put the lever into forward and you rev it up and it just clicks. And I think there's some fingers on the clutch inside the gearbox, and I think I've got to pull it apart and have a quick look at it. It goes backwards, lovely, but of course going backwards doesn't cut grass. But it's a lovely bit. It's so over-engineered, that mower. It's huge, great huge A's on it, and grease nipples everywhere, and it's really good bit of kit. So after we've got the Panda done, that'll be going in the garage. So, but in the meantime, we've got a few videos coming up with the Range Rover, because as I said, we're sort of overlanding on a budget because we can't afford all this name brand gear, like roof racks made by Front Runner or Rhino or any of these expensive things. A roof rack at the moment is not that too important, but I have got a bit of a deal coming up, possibly. I had a deal all lined up before, and then we decided that we couldn't put that sort of money towards something that's just going to sit on the car, because at the time the Hobbit was going through a treatment and this, that and the other, and we couldn't justify spending that amount of money on a roof rack for the car that we wasn't using that much. But we have since come through a lot of that, and we might be in a position to buy one now. So I've got in touch with a bloke. He was going to do a deal where I'd just pay the price for the roof rack, and he was going to ship it to me free of charge, and we'd do a video installing it on the car, showing how it fits on this, that and the other, and then obviously giving him a bit of advertising as well. So that was the plan at the time. I've got in touch with him again, and he said he's not too forthcoming with his emails in reply to me. So I did send an email. I said, look, I'm in a position now where we can go ahead if the offer is still open. He said, "Oh, I'll email you back with the offer. I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, that was last week. Not heard anything else. But it's a bloody reasonable price. I'll put up some pictures on the thing here. So you'll have to tell me if you can still hear me. Let's see if I can bring it up. Yeah, you can still hear me. This is the roof rack I'm looking at for the Range Rover. Made in Poland. Oh, I'll switch this off now. And I think it looks quite good. It sits a bit high, really. But whether there's any adjustment on that or where it sort of bolts onto the roof, there's a bracket, whether you can sort of drill the hole a bit further down. But having said that, it does look quite close to the shark's fin on the roof. Now, you can get this roof rack. I've got the prices here somewhere. You can get it, obviously it's got a mesh floor in it. I don't know if you can see that on the pictures. There's a mesh floor in the inside of the roof rack. The one with the mesh floor is €494. Complete, all the fittings and everything. If you get it without the mesh floor, with just the bars going across, it's still got all the sides and everything on it. That's €435. Obviously there's shipping on top of that, and shipping from Poland, I think he said was going to be about €150. That might sort of come along at some point, if he gets back to me. But that'll be a good video. I mean, if anyone's interested in one of these roof racks, let me know and I'll send you the link. Drop us an email or something. I think you'll find my email in the in my about section on the channel.
There you go.
Thanks. Look, I've done all this today. Look, all pictures coming up.
Clever.
It's very clever, isn't it?
Clever boy.
Oh, thank you. Don't take the piss.
Oh, come on, I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't even know how to get a picture in the corner.
Well, yeah, all right. Let me come back to the other one. So that's the plan for the roof, which will be handy for if you've got a Range Rover L322. They're a bloody great big car, but there's not a lot of space in the boot. Obviously, I've in the wheelchair, so the wheelchair has to go in the boot. We're just working out ways of getting the wheelchair stood up in the boot so we can just roll it in the back, and all the other gear can go to the side of it. But that's a work in progress. But if we could store some stuff on the roof, it would sort of free up a bit of space inside the car. Now my plan is to possibly put the spare wheel up there when we're going off-roading, because obviously that's in under the floor in the boot. Don't really want to be messing about emptying the boot to get to your spare wheel if you need to change it. So if it's up on the roof, now I can get onto the tailgate. We can open the tailgates up, close the top tailgate so the bottom tailgate, so I can get on that and then get up to lift it off the roof. So that's not an issue. You know, I'm not just relying on the Hobbit to get that down then. But there's that, and there's some other bits and pieces that could go up there, which I'll get onto in a bit. But there's if you watch those videos, you'll know that we was a bit concerned. We came around the corner on one of the tracks, and it was just like mud, and it's like, oh, you know, we know the car. I know the car's capable. We've got fairly decent tyres on it, but the last thing we want to do is get ourselves stuck in a bloody load of mud. Obviously, I'm in the wheelchair, and this, that, and the other. So we're looking at getting some recovery gear. I've already ordered some tracks. I don't know what they call it, like recovery tracks, recovery boards. Let me bring up some more pictures. here we go. I've got some of these. They're out in the barn. Obviously that's the picture with them. Got them off Amazon. So those could bolt. Yeah, see in a bit. The Hobbit's taking the dogs around the field. They could bolt on the roof rack out of the way. It comes with all the brackets. Only cheap. Varying prices, different companies, but I think they're all the same thing. I wasn't going to go for these Max Tracks because they're like €300, and I think these were about €90, something like that. They come in a bag, and we've got all those fixings as well. So that's a little bit of peace of mind when we're out on the trails and that, and it is muddy because we go out on our own. At the moment, there's nobody else that comes out with us. I say at the moment because obviously the more we get doing it and the more we sort of putting it out there that we're doing these trails, and people, if they want to come along, all well and good. It would probably be nice if there was some more people coming out with us, because if you get yourself in the shit, somebody can tow you out. But yeah, so those exact ones, same colour. Everyone goes for the orange ones. No, I went for the green. Green ones were cheaper. It's all about saving the money. So they would bolt on the roof rack. Obviously, we would take them off when we weren't out off-roading because the sun would finish them off. If we was to leave them out in the sun, obviously it gets bloody hot here in France, and they'd all just go brittle and they'd snap as soon as you wanted to use them. But that's a good little insurance policy, knowing that you've got something that you can get yourself out of the mad, basically. There are some other little items that I've been looking at. So yeah, I'll be doing a video on the recovery stuff we've got, because I've ordered some other bits and pieces. One of the main things that I'm looking at is obviously an electric winch on the front of a Range Rover would be bloody lovely. But you've got to get all the mounting brackets, then you've got to get a winch, and you've got to get a decent winch, because you want a winch that you know is not going to let you down. You're talking a lot of money. By the time you finish, you're talking about a couple of grand. And that's not the sort of money we want to be ploughing into the car. Especially for an item that you're not going to use, well, hopefully ever. But if you do need to use it, you can. So I've been doing a bit of research. Quite a popular thing in Australia, if you haven't got a winch, I'll put this picture up. It's a hand winch. Now, these are rated at various tonnages. This particular one is rated at 3.2 tonne. Obviously, there's a snatch block there, and some shackles and some straps and bits and pieces. Obviously, the car weighs 2.7 tonne. If you was just doing a straight pull, obviously you've got to take into account if you're in the mud, that's going to be a resistance. So that's going to sort of put the weight of your car up potentially. But then you can put a snatch block on it and half the pulling thing. That winch, hand winch, including the cable, weighs 49 kilos. So it is quite a hefty bit of kit. It's 16mm cable. It's I can't remember how long the cable was now. It's a bloody long bit of cable. We'll say it's a 3.2 tonne. It's rated at 3.2 tonne. So 9 times out of 10, if you're in a bit of sloppy mud and the car just won't get traction, you'll just put that on and you'll do a straight pull. If it's a little bit tricky, you just run a snatch block down to your car, back up to the tree that you're anchoring onto, and winch yourself out. Piece of cake. Let me come back don't want to bore you too much with lots of pictures. Now, I've had quite a lot of experience with recovering cars. Quite a few years on the recovery trucks, so it's not a game that I'm new to, that one. So, but I think for us, again, hopefully never need to use it. But if you do, you've got it in the car with you, and you know that you can pretty much get yourself out. So that is potentially, it would probably be better for us to get that hand winch than it would to get the roof rack. But the roof rack would be nice because you could put all the recovery gear in a nice sealed box and get that on the roof rack so it's out of the way. It's all these ideas, they all keep popping up. I just don't want to get out on the trails. I say we're on our own. It's just me, the Hobbit, and the two dogs. Don't want to get stuck in a mud hole or stuck somewhere and knowing that you can't get yourself out. So you have to sit there, get someone to come and phone a local farmer or something. Can you tow us out and all that kind of crap? So that's the plan. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. What else have we got on here? Well, I haven't done anything about ordering that yet, the winch. So I've already got the sand tracks, the recovery board things. Another thing that I've ordered, which hasn't arrived yet, it said it could be up to 60 days. It's coming from China, and I think it's coming on a boat, and I think they've gone the wrong way round, if you know what I mean. It's not quite 60 days yet, so we'll let them off. Now, nowhere in the Land Rover handbook does it mention about doing this. It is a good idea to do it, but you've got to be careful on Range Rovers, especially when you've got 20-inch wheels. And that is airing down your tyres. You air your tyres down to get a longer footprint, not wider, but longer. Obviously, as your tyres are slightly deflated, they go over terrain better. So if you're going to go over like a rock or a sharp rock, your tyre deforms and goes round it. But on the Range Rover, you've got to be pretty careful because you've only got a very shallow sidewall on your tyre. 20-inch wheels are supposed to be 255 50 by 20. Here in France, they have to be legally, or no, they have to be the right size tyre that it says on the sticker inside the door for it to pass its control technique. If you've all seen that video. Anyway, so we've got two sets of wheels now. But as I say, a lot of these people that are like, oh, you've got to air it down to like 10 psi and your tyre will deform over all these obstacles. If you did that on a Range Rover, it would probably knacker your wheel up and it would probably split the sidewall of your tyre because you've not got enough rubber in your sidewall. Now I've gone up one size on the all-terrain tyres. We're 255 55, so we've gone from 50 to a 55. It's not a lot, and I wouldn't air it down too much. It's all going to be trial and error, but I've ordered something to pump the tyres back up with. All the trails we've done so far, I've not needed to air down or anything. It's all been sort of like gravel tracks. It has got a little bit sort of wheel, a little bit whoa, but nothing major at the moment. But if we needed to, you need to pump your tyres back up. Now there's so many compressors that you can buy. All the off-roaders on YouTube, they all go for these ARBs and this, that and the other. You've got to have this one and you've got to have that one. You could spend a shitload of money on compressors. Not us. I've been in touch with a company. Now I'm going to try it out and I'm going to do a video on it before I sort of say yes it's good or I wouldn't touch this with a barge pole. But if you take into account it comes from China, I think the ARB ones come from China, if truth be told. They've just got slightly better quality control. Now this compressor is a dual compressor. It runs at 90 amps, so it's quite a bit of a power draw on it. It's 150 psi, 10 bar, 260 litres a minute. Let me just put some pictures up, I'll show you. Where are we? Compressor. So this is the compressor that I'm looking at. Well, this is the compressor that's coming to us. So it's a dual compressor, and there are a few mods that you can do to it to make it even better. But obviously we're going to get it. We're going to try it out, see how well it goes. Now I have ordered at the same time a tyre deflator kit, which you just screw onto the valves and it deflates your tyres to a preset PSI. There we go. Comes in a little case. Now I've been in touch with this company in China, and they do drop shipping. So if I'll be doing a video on it, saying how good it is. I'll get the thermometer gun out, see how hot it gets, how loud it gets, and how long it takes to pump a tyre up from, I don't know, we'll have to see. But I don't think, like on the Range Rover, I don't think I'd want to air it down any lower than 20 psi. Maybe not even that far, 25. I mean, for an unloaded Range Rover on the 20-inch wheels, it's 33 psi in the front, 36 in the back. But I'd run mine because when I came to change the tyres last time, it was wearing the outside edges of the tyres. So I'm running the fronts at 35 and the rears at 38, just to sort of bring the middle of the tyre out a little bit. So it's going to be trial and error, but even if you drop your tyre pressure down to 25, you're going to get a longer footprint on your tyre, because obviously as your tyre's like that and it deflates, you get a larger length of footprint and more traction, basically. I don't know how often I'll use the compressor, but it's one of those things. You never know when you're going to need it. But yeah, I'll do a video on that when it finally gets here. I mean, it's been on that boat for quite a while now. I don't know what else is coming with, but if it's any good, I'll set up a little drop shipping thing on there, and if anyone wants one, and I'll set up a little website for bits and pieces. It looks pretty good, and yeah, so that is for our airing down and airing back up. You know how it goes. I don't know. All these things I've got listed. One more thing. That's it. One more. I've got another video to do. I was going to do this video yesterday, but I've videoed something else. I'll get to that in a minute. But I was going to video. We've bought an awning for the car. Now, here in France, as I said, it does get bloody hot. And we're always out with the dogs. So wherever we go, the dogs go. And if you park up and have a picnic somewhere and there's no shade, the dogs are stuffed. They have to get under the car or something. So we kept talking about an awning, and it's like, well, all these awnings, they've sort of run off the side of your car, and you need the roof rack, and you need this, and you need that. Did a bit of research. I thought, well, we're going to go cheap. Not too cheap, but see what's available. I thought there's surely got to be something that can come off the back of the car so that we can have the tailgate open, have the bottom tailgate, because that's where I cook on. Drop the bottom tailgate down, put a French tablecloth over it that I've trimmed up to size, put my gas stove on it, and I'll do my cooking. There's got to be something that can come over the back of the car. So I came up with this. Well, I didn't come up with it. Obviously somebody else did, but a bit of searching, and we got one of these. That is sitting up in the garage. And I say I was going to video it, but it's been really windy here this last sort of week or so, and that's not the sort of thing you want to be putting up in the wind. So they're available on Amazon. again, I will do a video on it. We'll get outside. I'll probably do the video after we've cut the grass and collected it again, because it'll look nice videoing it out in the field, and then I'll send the drone up and do some aerial for shots. But it all rolls up into a little bag, and it will do us temporary. Hopefully it will last, and it's not one of these cheap crappy things off Amazon that last 2 minutes. There are a few videos on YouTube about them. They all come in different makes, obviously made in the same place, but they just slap a different sticker on them. So that's our awning solution, which should sort of go on the back of the Range Rover. You know, you open the tailgate up, you can go over the top, and you've run some straps down and fix it to your wheels. And we can all get under that, having our little picnics. Well, the French call it bivouacking. You know, you get for sort of it's a big thing. Bivouac 4x4. Basically, it's discreet camping, which you're allowed to do, yes and no. As long as you sort of, you're not a pillock about it, and you don't. I mean, there are people that leave rubbish everywhere, and they sort of spoil it for everybody else. Let me just come back out of that. And what a lot of these bivouackers were saying, you know, on the Facebook groups and that, is that with the influx of van lifers, which is a bit of a new thing, I suppose, in the last few years, everybody wants to buy a van and travel around and put themselves out on YouTube. Okay, Ian, thanks for joining. I'm assuming it all went through well with your house. And I used some of those tools the other day as well. The hot air gun works a bloody treat, and I've used it quite a bit. But yeah, speak to you soon. Yeah, so there's a lot of sort of van lifers, and they've not sort of got the same sort of ethics as the bivouackers. And all sold, all good. 2 thumbs up. That's that headache out of the way. But yeah. And they sort of, I don't know whether it's the younger generation or what, but they don't sort of, I'm not saying they all do it, it's the minority again, isn't it? It's like the minority of people that go on green lanes. They drive like twats and they churn the tracks up, ruin it for everybody else. You get people that litter the place. You know, how easy is it to pack up your rubbish and take it away with you and find a bin wherever you're going, or bring it back home? You know, we always bring our rubbish home. Apart from last time, because we was parked up in a car park and we used the picnic table, which was right next to a bin. So all our rubbish went straight in that. But, you know, it's the minority. Put my teeth back in. It's the minority that spoil it for everybody else. You get a lot of, on these Facebook groups and that, people say, you know, they've parked up in some places. The police have sort of know they're there, and they've not really bothered them. But then you get some other places, and they want to move you on straight away, sort of thing. So, oh, it's you, the Hobbit.
It's only just drizzling out there.
Oh, drizzling. It's drizzling outside at the minute. Just for a change. Ben's Garage. Available. Somewhere on here. Via some website. I can't even remember what the website's called now. Is it Teespring? I don't know. I've never sold one on there, but you never know, do you? Now, I did a video the other day. I've not released it yet, but I'll just give you a little brief rundown of what it was, so you know what you can see in the coming weeks. I don't know when I'm going to be releasing any of these. I've got to make some of them. Sam over at Sam's Motor Machine did a video a while back, he got sent a Jackery power station with solar panels, and he was talking the pros and cons of having a portable power station as rather than sort of your built-in car electrics with a second battery, possibly a solar panel on the roof and a DC to DC converter and all this, that and the other. Then an inverter so you can have 230 volts, this, that and the other. And I did comment, I was thinking about the second battery route, but the time you've spent out on a decent second battery, a DC to DC converter, a power inverter for 230 volts, and then to get a decent power inverter, you're talking a lot of bloody money. And I said, well, we cook on gas. You know, we don't really need a huge amount of power. And then I watched, there's an Australian bloke called Ronnie Dahl. Absolutely brilliant. He does all these 4-wheel drive videos. He's in Australia, so it's a little bit different to us in France. But the stuff that he sort of talks about is through experience. So he's like, most overlanders never need more than 750 watts. Well, we don't even need that much. So obviously the Range Rover's got a cigarette lighter in the front. It's got a power outlet in the box in the centre console. It's got 2 power outlets on the back of the centre console, and it's got a power outlet in the boot. So while you're driving, you can charge all your devices. I can charge my phone. I use my iPad for navigation with the Garmin Glow. I quite often use the phone for recording the tracks on Wikilocs and all that kind of thing, or even navigation. A lot of my cameras I can charge up on 12 volts and this, that and the other. Of course, once you stop your car, you don't want to be charging anything on your car electrics because you've only got one battery and you need that battery to start your car when you want to go move on. So the Hobbit was talking, we was going backwards and forwards, and I was sort of like, oh, should we get one of these power stations, blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, the Hobbit said, oh, you've got a fan up in the garage. And it clicked, 12 volt fan. That'll be all right for the dogs. Of course, you don't want to be running that off the car battery, so we just bought a Bluetti EB3A, 600 watts on the 230 volt side, and you've got loads of DC charging outputs, wireless charging for your phone. I just chuck that on top of it and it charges the phone. 268 watt hour battery, and that is all we're ever going to need. You can get solar panels for it, but I didn't bother because at the end of the day I can charge that up while the car's running. Pardon me. So there, in one breath I'm saying to Sam, yeah, we don't really need all that power, blah blah blah, and then it's sort of like, well, it would be handy. I can charge everything. I can charge the drone, the cameras, phones, iPads. We can run the fan. Now we've got a cooler box, which all it is like an electric chiller. Well, it's not even a chiller. It's a cool box with a fan in it, basically. If you put cold stuff in it, the fan will run. You plug it into the power, 12 volt power, the fan will run, and it'll just keep what is in there cool. So we normally just put a couple of freezer blocks in it and then chuck all your food in, and it keeps everything nice and fresh. Well, of course, that plugs in the socket in the boot, but then when you park up, you don't want... I can't remember if that's live all the time. I know on the TD6, that socket in the boot was live all the time. So we used to have to make sure we unplugged it, otherwise it'd flatten the battery. But I'm not sure if it's live in the TD-V8. So anyway, we would have to unplug it out of that and then plug it into the power station, and that would run for I don't know how many hours. But yeah, I did the video on that yesterday, so that'll be coming out at some point. And that's pretty much all the gear we've bought or are looking at buying. That's about it, really. I am gonna. Oh, it might not be live on the 3.6. I've not even checked it, to be honest. I don't think we've actually used it on the the 3.6. And on the TD6 it was live pretty much all the time. And then we had to unplug it because we used to use it quite often when we was moving house. We'd come over to this house for the weekend and do some work and bring a load of food with us, so it was plugged in, and I'm pretty sure that we had to make sure it was unplugged because it would carry on running. But that was a while ago now, I'm not quite sure. I'm just planning our next adventure. Hobbit said, "Oh, perhaps we ought to go out again this month." So that's my next job. I've got to plan a route, find out some off-roading tracks. We're a bit spoilt for choice, really, here in France. There's so many sort of chemins, they call them, and unpaved roads, off-road tracks. I mean, that first one we did get a little bit gnarly because it was quite narrow. And if you saw the video, you can hear it scraping up the side of the car. It's like, oh no. And the Hobbit was like, well, if this is what we're going to be doing in the car, you're going to have to just suck it up. Yeah. A Yeti cooler bag. I mean, until we sort of go away camping and stuff, that chiller box will do us fine. You know, we're only going out having a bit of a picnic and then coming back. But, you know, we start camping, we want to take food and keep it fresh for a few days. We'll be looking at sort of like the fridge and freezer option, you know, all in one. But that'll be further on down the line. And when it comes to camping, we was talking about just getting a tent, chucking a tent in the back of the car, pitching the tent, and then what have you, because obviously a roof tent is out of the question, being in a wheelchair. But then I had an epiphany, and I did mention it on the community posts. We've got a trailer, and I said to the Hobbit, if we take the cage sides off the trailer, because the trailer's got cage sides on it, so you can put a lot of stuff in it, that just bolts on and it lifts up. So I said, if we took them cage sides off it and put some bars across, because luckily on the trailer it's got like a rail around the top of it, quite strong. Put some bars across, we could probably get a roof tent on the trailer. And I'll be able to get into it, because I could get up onto the trailer and then I could get up into the roof tent quite easy, I believe. So that is going to be possibly a bit of a solution. Further on down the line, of course. And then we can use underneath obviously the roof tent's going to be sitting on top of the trailer. You can have all that space underneath it for activities. No, storing all your gear. Obviously, put it in boxes and this, that, and the other. Slide it underneath, strap it down, get some like eyelet things in the floor, strap it all down, and the job will be a good one. I mean, whether it'll ever come off or not, I don't know. We might just end up going up to Decathlon, getting a cheap 4-man tent for €100 and using that. But we have found that the back of a Range Rover is not that large when it comes to storing gear. We are talking about taking the rear seats out. You know, I think I'd probably have to put them back in every time I wanted to take the car in for its control technique. Because obviously it says on your cart grey, which is like your logbook, how many seats are in the vehicle, and if you put more seats in than what it says, they won't test it. But I don't know if it works the other way, if you've got less seats than what it says on the cart grey. I don't know. I'd have to find that one out. But if we take the rear seats out, because obviously if you tip your seats, fold them down and tip them forward, you get a lot more space. But then those seats are probably about that, when they're folded, put back down and stood up, they're probably about that big. So you're still losing a bit. And then of course the dogs, so the idea is to unbolt them, lay something on, because I think there's some funny sort of bolt things that come up out of the floor. Maybe put a bit of board on it or something, and then the dog's beds can go on that, and then we'll have a lot more room in the back of the car for all the gear and stuff. Because we've only got like gear that we use for going out and having picnics, and it does take up a lot of room. You'd be surprised at how quickly the boot space fills up on a Range Rover. Of course, the wheelchair goes in there as well. But yeah, the first adventure we went on was a little bit. The track started off quite nice. It went past someone's house, going down, meandering through, bit of farm tracks. Got a bit muddy. It's like, oh yeah. Anyway, we ploughed through the mud, and then we sort of turned off, and then like there's sides, and I was like, Christ, that looks narrow. And Hobbit was like, oh, do you think we really ought to be going up here? And it's like, oh, yeah, it'll be all right, it'll be all right. As long as it stays like this, we'll be all right. And if not, I'll have to reverse all the way up it. And the track didn't get any narrower, but the sides, obviously the undergrowth was growing in on the track, and it was a bit, oh, bloody hell. But the last one we did, it was quite nice and wide and open. So, yeah, I'm going to... Obviously, what I do for mine, when I'm trying to work out these routes, I use Gaia GPS on the computer, plan out my route. I've got Gaia GPS on the iPad, but it's really buggy at the minute. A lot of people have been saying on the forums that because Gaia GPS has been bought by another company, it's all gone to shit. So what I do is plan my route on Gaia GPS on the computer, save it as a track, export the GPX file to the iPad and then bring it up in Osmond Maps, and that seems to work quite well. But on the Gaia GPS, it was the actual guide me function that wasn't working. I can put the Gaia GPS on the screen, it will show me the track, and it will navigate around the track as we're driving around it. So obviously with the GPS receiver I've got in the windscreen, connected to the iPad via Bluetooth, it all works. But when you press the guide me function, so that you can have like your next turn off is going to be here, it's going to be there, and it's there and there and everywhere, it just all freezes and locks up. So I've been using the Osmond Maps, but it's all trial and error, isn't it? There's so many different maps and things. But with the Gaia GPS, I can download IGN Maps, which is like the French Ordnance Survey, basically. Absolutely, if you've got them on your thing and somebody says, oh, you can't be down here, you can just, well, look, it's on my navigation. It's just a road. There was no signs up saying private property or no access. If you've got the IGN Maps on your device, they can't dispute it or anything. They probably will, but so that's how I plan my routes. But I'll say there are quite a few tracks in France that people just don't go up, so you've got to find them. Obviously Wikilocks is quite good, and I've started loading tracks onto Wikilocks. There's not that many in this area. There's a couple, but they're really ridiculous ones where somebody was just driving around their bloody farmyard for about an hour, and they put that on Wikilocks. It's like, well, what was that all about? And another one was a direct line from one part of the, it was a good 30 kilometres, but, it looked like an aeroplane because roads are not that straight. So yeah, I've started putting them on there, and there are a few in the vicinity, but there's a lot of other websites that you can go on, like All Trails, and there's a couple of French ones. What I find is if you put in off-roading, you put in the filter section off-roading, you won't get many come up. But if you put in like hiking or mountain biking or something like that, and then you just got to use a bit of judgment. If it's going to be a footpath, you ain't going to go down it. But if it's sort of like a wide track, you can get a car down, all is going to be good. And the good thing is with a lot of these tracks that people put on, they tend to put a lot of pictures on, so you can get a good sort of idea of what the track looks like, if it's going to be suitable for a car. Now, in France, there's a lot of people selling road books, which I think is a bit... Well, I suppose they do actually do the tracks themselves, so they know if you can get up them. There's one called roadbooks.com, I believe, and there's a couple of routes around here, but they're so expensive. There's one sort of to the east of Limoges, which comes down and round near us. That's about €190 for the road book, but it gives you a detailed route of the track. If the track gets a bit gnarly, they have a paint-friendly option. So if you come up to a track and it says this one's going to damage your car, it's like, oh, I don't really want to scratch it too much. It'll give you an option of an alternative, so you can go around that bit. So that first one on the east side of Limoges, €190. And then the joining up bit around the west side, €170. It's like, well, I'm not paying out that. I'll try and find the tracks on my own. But yeah, we've not seen that many people. There are a lot of off-roaders about, but normally in this area, people have 4x4s and they use them with the chassis, which is like the Hunt, which they're all a bit quiet at the moment because it's out of season. But when it gets to September, they'll all be out and about and going off-road and that. So yeah, but I do keep my eye out on the old Facebook group, see if there's anyone local that wants to go out and do some off-roading. So what else we got on this list that I was going to talk about? Range Rover Adventures, Navigator, pieces for overlanding, Hobbit's Progress on the farm, selling off guns and gear. Oh yes, yeah, I've been selling loads of stuff. Sold quite a few. I sold my shotgun. Decided I wasn't gonna. My shooting license is for ball trap, which is clay pigeon shooting. So, but it's a category C. Now under category C, you can have shotguns, hunting rifles, 2.2 long rifles, air rifles over the legal limit power wise. So I had a semi-automatic shotgun, which I fired it a few times, broke it, fixed it, and it just sat in the gun safe. And I've got a brand new Bergara 22 LR BMR with a silencer, and you can go out and do your bit of plinking outside, shooting targets, and it's quiet. Shotgun, oh, it's bloody loud. So at the time I did shoot it, I think there was a lot of people, what's all that noise about over there? And the bloke did actually come down into the field over the back of us, I think, to have a look what was going on. So I sold it. All right, I'll get rid of that. If I'm going to go up to the Ball Trap Club, I'll either use one of their guns, or at some point I'll just buy a proper over and under clay pigeon gun. You can pick them up quite cheap second hand. So I sold that. I had a blank firing pistol. Absolutely spot on. It was just like the real thing, but it only fired blanks. But it was just sat on there doing nothing. I did over on my other channel. I do shooting videos on Mad Dog air guns, and I've done a few videos with it. It's earned me quite a lot of money. Not that's why we do YouTube, but it is nice when you get a bit back. But it was just sat there. I said to the Hobbit, I'm just going to put it up for sale. Anyway, I put it up for sale. I think it was the next day it sold, wasn't it? Yeah, next day, bloke knocked on he come round, he says, can I come and pick it up? And he come round, it didn't haggle over the price, give you cash. Took it away, and he's going to show his wife how to use it, because they live out in the sticks, and he said, I want something for protection. Well, you're not going to protect anyone with it, but you can scare people off. Blank firing. Of course, in France, in the UK, a blank firing pistol has to have a painted top slide, So it'll either be bright blue, bright orange, and they're not allowed to fire out the front. They vent out the top. Obviously, when you fire a blank round, the gas has got to go somewhere. In the UK, they have to vent out the top. Not quite so realistic. In France, they vent out the front. So you can screw an adapter on it, and you can put like a rubber ball in the end of it, fire it, and it's powerful. I think I shot it through the chronograph, and it was about 40 joules, which is quite powerful for a rubber ball. Anyway, I sold it. Got no need for it. And then I had some other stuff that I sold, mostly gun related really. It was a scope. I had a scope with night vision on it. I don't shoot with a night time. It was nice. I did a couple of videos on it. Now, selling all this stuff worked out quite well because the car insurance was due at the time, and it was sort of like, I'm in an R and how we're going to pay for it, because it doesn't go down much every year, although they call it a bonus malus over here in France, so you don't get a no claims discount. They call it a bonus malus. So every year without a claim, it doesn't seem to change much, and the price definitely doesn't. That seems to stay the same or go up a little bit. Anyway, so I started selling all this stuff off, and I think after all the stuff I sold, got about 700 euros in, and I think I had about 30 euros spare after paying the car insurance. Oh, well, that's that then. I had a company sent me an infrared camera which plugged onto your iPhone. It was a specific iPhone thermal camera, and it came with a kit that you could put it on a rifle. So you're looking through your rifle with your phone on the thing, and the camera was all in it, and it was really good. It was really clear. I put that up for sale, sold it straight away, and that paid for the car insurance. Oh dear, I've got some other stuff up for sale, but nothing seems to be shifting at the moment. So I'll probably end up keeping it. I sold a few bits. What did I have for the car? The Invery. I sold the Invery thing that I had for the Range Rover. That plugs in the iPod socket in the centre cubby box, and then you Bluetooth your phone to your Invery, and then that goes through your car stereo system. I wasn't using it. All the music I've got is on the USB stick, which is in the same place in the centre console. So rather than sort of playing music from my phone, I mean, I don't use any streaming like Spotify or anything like that on my phone, so that wasn't going through the Range Rover. It just wasn't worth keeping it, so I put it up for, can't remember now. Anyway, I sold it. That paid for the insurance. Oh, I don't know. Trials and tribulations. That's pretty much all I've got to say now. Not had many people in here tonight. I think the most I've seen is 8. There's 3 of you in there at the minute. So I might be knocking it on the old head fairly soon. And so I've not done a live stream since last Christmas. And then the live stream before that was the Christmas before, so Christmas 21. And then I think the year of 21, I might have done quite a few live streams through the year. But my channel is not. It's still getting the views, but all my older videos are getting really watched at the moment. None of my new stuff is really getting a lot of love. So, but I'm still getting the views. A lot of views on the solar stuff. There's obviously a lot of interest in the solar project we've got going on. But when I used to put Range Rover videos out, they used to go mental. But there's so many people doing Range Rover L322 videos now. I mean, when I first started doing them, I think there was a few videos out there with the Range Rover, but not many. So I would put a video out when I changed the lower control arms, thousands of views straight away, and that's what sort of got my channel going. But now you've got a lot of people doing Range Rover videos, and they're just repeating all the videos that I've done over the years, like, you know, what you can do with a key fob and this, that, and the other, and all different things that the car will do that not a lot of people know about. Well, if you read the owner's manual, you would know exactly what features your car would do, but people don't do that, do they? So yeah, the Panda videos never get any love anyway. But yeah, so the old channel is suffering a little bit, but whether that's down to me, lack of input, or what, I don't know. It's just, when I first started doing the Range Rover videos, it was sort of like a bit of a niche. Not many people doing it, and they was getting a lot of views, hits straight away. Now I did notice there's a bloke, I watched the video the other day and it popped up, I think it's 4x4 lanes in Wales or something. He put a video out, it was all like Defenders, modified Defenders and this, that and the other. One bloke came along in a supercharged L322 and he went exactly everywhere that the Defenders did in a lot of comfort. And I think he put out a post on the community post saying that putting that video out has brought so much attention to his channel. So there is a lot of love for the old L322, but it's just whether, I don't know, my channel's not getting it. Not to worry. We've got some videos planned anyway, some more off-roading adventures and some bits and pieces that we're buying. I shall do reviews on that, and obviously fitting the tow bar. I'll be doing that, well, quite soon, hopefully. It should be here tomorrow, and just got to pop the bumper off, bolt the new tow bar on, plug the electrics in, and hopefully that will be it. Bish bash bosh, we can tow the trailer. And yeah, it should be a fairly straightforward job, to be honest. I think you just got to drop the exhaust mounts down, the towing eye on the back right hand side, that comes off, because the framework for the tow bar has got some built-in towing eyes on either side. And it's the old quick release detachable tow ball, basically. I was looking at one from Steinhoff, I think Steinhoff or Stenhoff, which looked quite nice because it sort of detached and went up, so that when you took it out and you put the bung back in it, you couldn't really see anything of the tow bar because it was all tucked up behind the bumper. You know, as you put it up and it sort of come down and like a bit of a swan neck type thing. But they're out of stock, and it was not quite expensive. It was still a reasonable price, but I've gone for this one. It's Italian one. It's detachable again, but that's the back of your car. It goes in that way, so you'll have like a big round thing sort of sticking underneath your bumper, which is not as ideal as the other one, but it's less than half the price. So I'm not too worried. I mean, we don't need to sort of worry about departure angles and stuff, because we're not doing that much of an extreme off-roading. So, we'll just take the tow hitch off, put the little bung in the end of it, and that should all be good. It just means the Hobbit's not going to keep clouting her shins on the tow bar when she's opening the back of the car up. The tow bars don't look nice on the back of a car, do they? And if they're a fixed one, on the TD6 we had the genuine Land Rover one, you push it up from underneath and you just turn that big thing and lock it with a key. Obviously we sold the TD6 and that went with it, so yeah, hopefully tomorrow. That is coming. Also, the new ignition switch for the tractor. I've mentioned this earlier on, but I don't know who's joined and who's still here from the start. But anyway, I'm going to knock it on the head for today. I've been going for an hour and a half, just a bit more, and there's 4 of you in here. Not a lot's happening in the chat, so I think I shall call it a day, and we'll catch you sometime in the future. So there will be a video coming out with the old power station, and also I've got another video I did with some I've got some stickers for the car, terrain response stickers, and I put a post out on Facebook, I think it was, and there was some people, I really want to get some of those, Then the bloke who made them, he can make some more. He obviously make them for me, and then I can distribute them to whoever wants to buy them. So that is a possibility. Whether anyone's going to be interested in that sort of thing, I don't know, but I'll probably put the video out anyway. And I've got another couple of videos in the background that are already made, already done, and that uploaded, ready to go. But and then I'll get some more. Obviously, do some reviews on this stuff that's turning up, or we've already got, and we'll take it from there. So a lot of these reviews and that, it's nothing that's been sent to us, because we've bought it all. So if it's good, I'll tell you if it's good. If it's crap, I'll tell you if it's crap. Don't want to be pushing rubbish, do we? Don't want to be peddling crap. Oh look, we've gone up to 7 viewers now. Hey? Well, I'll stay on for a little bit longer. I did say I'd go on for 2 hours, but I don't know if I can keep talking rubbish for 2 hours.
Yes, you can.
Well, trouble is you don't know who's come in and who's left and who's the same people, and you can't keep talking about the same thing over and over again, can you?
Yes, you do.
Yes, but I'm trying every other live stream. I'm trying a new tactic. If you're wondering how I'm talking, I don't know if you can hear what the Hobbit's saying. She keeps piping up. But yeah, all good stuff. That's what I say. I don't think anyone has sent us anything recently, have they? No. I got sent a Topdon scan tool. It just turned up out of the blue. I opened it up and thought, what the bloody hell's this? And there's absolutely nothing on their website, because Topdon have sent me the JS2000 jump starter and the 2 battery testers, and this little your OBD thing turned up. Of course, I thought, well, what's this? So I went on their website, absolutely nothing about it. Of course, it's the beta testing program. They sent it out to me. I took it out to the Range Rover and plugged it in, and I tried downloading the Land Rover software onto my phone. Of course, I'm on my phone. I'm on pay as you go, and like a prat, I was downloading it on mobile data, and it used all my credit up, and it didn't finish off properly. So I thought, oh shit, and it wouldn't do something. So I took the phone back indoors and downloaded all the Land Rover software onto the phone on Wi-Fi, but I've not gone back out to try it since. So perhaps that'll be a video. It's all for beta testing, so that they can see what works, what doesn't work. You can put in a report, and then you can send this in, send that in, and then that will be available to the general public when they've got it, all the niggles ironed out. Whether it'll be any good or not, I don't know. I don't suppose it'll be as powerful as the gap tool, Oh, pardon me. Pardon me. That water's got some bubbles in it. Gaseosa. Yeah, I don't suppose it'll be as powerful as the Gap tool, but we'll have a look at it. See what we can make of it. Go with the trailer. You know, it makes sense. Yes, for camping, probably. We can have it all contained. We can have the roof tent on top of the trailer. I'll probably put some legs on the trailer to sort of solid it up when you're camping. And then you can probably have like a pull-out drawer system underneath the roof tent with like all your cooking and kitchen and this, that and the other. I don't know of any way to sort of make a cover for the trailer so that everything was waterproof. It is doable, but I'm not sure what I would do it with. That would be something I'd have to sit there and think about. Yeah, not too sure how I'd do it because the top of the trailer sort of stops there. Then you've got like a rail that goes round with like bits up like that, which would be ideal to fit some bars across for the roof tent. But of course, the rest of the trailer's open. So whether I could make like a bit of a lid that went underneath the roof tent, just to sort of, with like a peak in the middle, just to sort of deflect any water either side of the trailer, which should be a possibility. But all of this stuff we were going to do to the trailer wants to be detachable quite easily because we use the trailer around the land. So if we were out chopping up firewood, we can put the cage sides back on the trailer, chuck all the firewood in the trailer, and then drag the trailer back up to the house or wherever. So the trailer has got to be multi-purpose, so it can't be permanent. But it's all options. Definite all options. Because obviously a roof tent on the roof of the Range Rover is a no-go. But I do think I could get in a roof tent if it was on the back of the trailer. In theory. I definitely could. I think I can get on the tailgate of the Range Rover when the suspension's all the way down. So our trailer, I could probably get up onto the trailer and then get up into a roof tent quite easily. So yeah, but that's not going to happen for quite a while, I don't think. The camping side of things for us is a long way off, I believe. At the moment, we're just enjoying going out off the beaten track, away from the general public, enjoying the countryside, and pulling up, having a picnic. I mean, the first one we did, we parked up in a panoramic spot, which is like a big car park on the top of a hill. Of course, we pulled in. Another bloody car pulls in after us, didn't they? And I was like, peace and tranquility has gone. But they weren't there for long. I think they sat there looking out the window for a bit, and about 5 minutes later they drove off, and we had the place to ourselves. The second trip out, we parked at Las Tour in the car park, and we only saw a couple of people. Nobody came into the car park. A couple of people drove past. But I think next time we would probably sort of try and find somewhere to park up actually on the trails. So in the woods somewhere, out on the tracks. There's a lot of spots where you can just sort of pull off and set up a little camp, basically. Obviously, it's only for a picnic and that. We've got ourselves a little fold-up table. We've got the Hobbit, a nice little deck chair, which I think the deck chair will take 150 kilos, so I could get in that one myself. We've got the camping stove, whistly kettle. So the last one we had made a nice cuppa. The last one we had just sort of like cold meats and olives and stuff like that. The one before we got all the gas stove out and had bacon butties Even made the dogs a bacon butty. But it's all that sort of thing we can get up to, and if we go during the week, we're not likely to see anybody. So we're quite lucky in that respect that neither of us are working, and we can just go whenever we like. Obviously, we're not going to be going out much when the kids are on holiday. For a start, it's going to be too bloody hot. And we're a bit, eh? Yeah, the Hobbits just said it's too peoply. We're a bit averse to the general public. Not that we're anti-sociable, of course. I mean, we was going to have the Ben's Garage event here in sunny south of France. So it's not like we don't want to see people. It's just like when we're out and about, it's noise and people and yeah. So the Hobbit very rarely goes shopping now. We do all our shopping online and they deliver it to the house. And the times that she does go in there, it's like you can see she's almost running out because there's people in there. But yeah, I say the Ben's Garage event might still be on the cards. I know when Sam did one of his videos about he was on about travelling to Europe and stuff. He was going to do some camping in Ireland and then come over to Europe at some point, and he said he'd maybe come down and have a couple of days at Ben's Garage. And then in the comments there was a few people saying, we should have an L322 convoy down to see Ben. And I said, yeah, come down, more the merrier. Whether that's ever going to come off or not, I do not know. I did message Sam and say, look, if you wanted to do a combined thing and we'll host it here, let me know. But obviously he's quite busy and, I don't want to keep pestering him. But it is a thing that might happen. Obviously, I've been in touch with some other people on, you comment on videos and you get chatting backwards and forwards. And he said, if you're ever in the area, you can tag along with us doing some off-roading and that. And I was like, well, it's a bit of a trek all the way from France. Says, but likewise, if you're ever in the area here, do give us a shout. And it sort of like piqued his interest. I said, well, I was going to hold the Ben's Garage event for the Range Rover lads. I said, but everyone's welcome. I said, we're not snobbery. It's not just open to Range Rovers. Everyone's welcome. But whether that'll ever come off, as I say, I don't know. We're quite happy to host it, and I think we should be able to sort it out. It's a bit of a big ask for getting people to drive all the way down here, because obviously cost of fuel, this, that and the other. Waiting at passport control now. I don't know, I haven't even got a passport, so I don't travel anywhere. That is a lie. I did have a passport, but it expired in April 2022. I've just reapplied for a new one. That's in the process at the moment. So, yes, I will be in possession of a passport within 11 weeks, I believe, if all goes through. They've taken the money, so it'd be nice if I actually get hold of it. And I still don't want to travel anywhere with it. But, one of them things you got to have, isn't it? So, yeah, if there's any interest, I will put the feelers out again. Maybe towards the end of the year, sort of late September, October time, because the weather's still lovely. Late September, it's still quite warm. October can be really nice. There's a lot to do here. I mean, I don't know. So I did have I set up a page on Facebook, the Ben's Garage event, and there was quite a few people at the time. Of course, then COVID happened. Then the Hobbit got diagnosed, and then that was that all up in the air again. And it's like, oh god. Then I never really mentioned it because the Hobbit was going to have another round of chemotherapy, but she's not having that now, so it's not like she's going to be out of action towards the end of the year, like she might have been if she's having another 6 months of chemo. So if there is going to be any interest, I'll start loosely organising something. Have the event, and it's up to people how long they want to come for, whether it's going to be like a long weekend and you go off and do something else, or if we have the Ben's Garage event for a week, starting from Saturday to Saturday or whatever. It doesn't. We're here all the time, so it doesn't make any difference to us. And we can arrange activities like go out on some trails, do a bit of off-roading. There's a lot of things you can go and do and see and stuff. It depends on what people want to do. I mean, as I say, we don't go out much, but that's not stopping anyone that wants to come here and have a bit of a shindig. All something to think about. I'll probably put the feelers out. I'll do a video on YouTube. So I've not forgotten about the Ben's Garage event. We're up to 9,200 subscribers at the moment, so the old numbers are going up. So yeah, I'll do a video on it at some point saying if people are still interested. Now we've got all the bloody crap out of the way with this, that and the other. Or I could open it up as a Ben's Garage busman's holiday. You can come and stay here and use your skills on the farm for a week, and we get all these jobs done. So we need some painters and decorators. We need some builders. Not so much mechanics, because I do a lot of that myself. But a plumber. Yeah, we need a plumber. Somebody who's good with a chainsaw. Help us chop up some of this firewood. What else? What was I said? Builder, plumber, painter and decorator. Carpenter would be handy. We've got to shore this floor up in this office. In the other room, the floor has gone totally. The floor joists are rotten, but the Hobbit is ever so careful when she goes up in the end where the beams have gone, because the floor does drop quite a bit, and a lot of it is to do with this roof that was leaking. Now Dad has been up on the roof and he's fixed the leak, but when the gutter blocks up, it's got a V in the roof, and there's a gutter runs up the middle, and when that gutter gets blocked up, that V, the gutter in the V, fills up, and it comes up over the height of the wall where the tiles come down, and water runs down. So obviously that over years that's come down in this room, but down in the other room more. Not only that, they had all the air vents blocked up, so the air wasn't getting underneath and circulating underneath the house to keep the beams sort of dry. So in the corner of this room, it's dropped a little bit, so we need to sort of jack that up, put some new timber in it or whatever. So that's that one done. The room in the other in there needs a new floor in it. It is shot basically. So yeah, builder, plumber, carpenter, painter and decorator. Out of those four, we should get a plasterer. Someone who doesn't mind using a chainsaw. Can't think anything else we need doing. A roofer would be handy because they could go up and finish any jobs up on the roof. So yeah, the Ben's Garage busman's holiday event. Bring your skills to the farm and let's get this place sorted out. And we'll feed you. I know. I don't think we'll have many takers. Yes, I don't see the chat buzzing with anticipation. Oh yes, must get booked in. So that's obviously not going to happen, is it? It was an idea. Probably a shit one, but there you go. You never know. I'll put a video out and we'll get to a wider audience. So we might get. I have had someone actually email me via the channel saying, "Oh yeah, no, we're." I think it was a bloke and his wife. They were painter and decorators. Said they would come and do some decorating, camp out in the field in a tent. But I can't remember who it was. We're not in a position to decorate anything yet because we're planning on decorating the bedroom. We've never decorated any. Well, we did the kitchen and the bathroom. Nothing else in the house has been done. It is a bit of a shambles, as you can probably see in the background. Wallpaper and plaster and God knows what. No, the solar panel's not fixed yet. But we're still making absolute shitloads of power with just 9 panels, so it's not a priority at the moment. But I'm going to try it. I don't know if it was you or somebody mentioned getting all the glass off of it and putting a clear epoxy coat over the panel, seeing if that worked. But that's something for later on down the line. We've got other jobs that we've got to get on with first. I was thinking that we was going to notice the difference with losing 1 panel, but we was making, on just the 9 panels, we've seen 4,400 watts coming in, which I'm not sure if we actually saw that amount when we had 10 panels, where it was just a freak day. The sun was really giving it some beans. But yeah, so it's still on the frame and it's still cracked and smashed and buggered up, but it is something that I will be doing at some point. I'll have to take the panel off, say tap all the glass off the front, and then lay it out on the table, and then sort of just put a clear epoxy coat over it and see if that works. Somebody, I don't know who it was, but mentioned in the comments about it, said they did that to one of their panels that they bust, and it's been working fine for the last 4 years, so it might do the job. Whether the sun will discolour the epoxy coating, I don't know, because if you've got one panel that's going to be down, that'll pull all your other panels down. Don't want to do that, so if it did do it, we'll just go back to the 9 panels again. But yeah, that's one thing we don't need, isn't it, electrician? Yeah, so the Ben's Garage Busman's holiday event, we don't need an electrician. We probably could do an electrician to tidy up all my wiring in the other room, but no, it's all right. It does the job. I've had an electrician come and have a look at it, and they said what I've done is perfectly fine. I was a bit worried about the earthing side of things, but everything's earthed on a proper earth. It's all done properly out in the ground with an earth spike and so many meters of coiled copper wire, a certain thickness, all to French regulations. Dad did all that when he rewired the house for us, but then I've put in the solar, so like the solar side of it, and then I've taken all the wiring out of the box that he did into another box, and yeah, the electrician said yeah, it's all fine. He never said it could be tidier. Yeah, the AC earth is obviously the ground spike outside, and the coiled copper wire buried underground. The whole house is earthed on that, so the electrics that come off the grid, the solar, obviously the solar power that we generate, all the consumer unit and the batteries and everything is all earthed on that AC earth, and then obviously the panels are earthed separately. the framework outside is earthed via an earth spike in the ground, and yeah, it all gets confusing. When I've never ever done house electrics before. I've done car electrics obviously quite often, but I was sort of like, I couldn't get my head around it. And my dad drew me some diagrams of how he, because French wiring is a little bit different to the rest of the world. It had to be, didn't it? So once I got my head around how the actual house is wired up, and that it was quite straightforward, but it's not something I enjoy doing. Yeah, they might both be DC, but they're both very different. I could get my head around a car wiring system because I've obviously been around cars for God knows how many years. So I've never ever bothered with house electrics. We've always had an electrician in. But yeah, it's all earthed correctly, inspected by an electrician, and he was happy with it. So all is good in the world. I think we might be charging up because we've got. Are we charging up now?
Yeah.
Oh, apparently we're charging off the grid right now. Batteries drop down to 20%. It flicks over to the grid, so it's a grid bypass on the inverter, and it charges the batteries up at the same time. I think we might. I'm not had it confirmed yet, but this issue we had with the inverter kept charging the batteries up via the grid when the batteries hadn't reached its set parameters. Grow Watt, backwards and forwards, emails, backwards and forwards, and they kept logging into our system and said, oh, well, such and such, and you've changed this and changed that. And it's like, oh, it happened on the day, and I've changed it settings since because we wanted to charge the batteries up. They was just, to start with, they was fine. And then they started taking longer and longer to reply to emails. And then, in the end, I sent them one saying, it's just done it again. The battery was at 70% and it's charged it up all the way to 100% without, because we have it set to charge the batteries at 20% and it charges it up to 95% if the sun's not out. So if the sun's out, it charges solar first. The last email I sent took them about 3 to 4 weeks before I got a reply. They decided now that it's the problem with the batteries. Oh, here we go. Talk about pass the buck. I have had some comments from some obviously knowledgeable people saying that it could be the batteries calling for charging through the BMS because the cells in the batteries are out of balance, and then it requests a full charge up to 100% to equalise the batteries. I've not had it confirmed by Pylon Tech yet because, again, they responded to my first email straight away. And then I had to find a load of information for them. So I found all the information, took some pictures of the system, this, that and the other, sent it back to them. I've not heard a bloody dicky bird since. So I'm thinking that it's possibly the batteries, when they get slightly out of balance, for whatever reason, it's like, no, we need charging right up to 100% to balance everything out. And that's why it's doing it. So it's possibly the batteries requesting it, not the inverter just pushing it into the batteries anyway. I should have thought about that before, because going up to 100% is past the 95% that we've set it to. And now it's been pointed out to me in a couple of comments. It's like, yeah, you could be right there. I mean, I can set the times when it charges, so you can set times so that it won't charge between certain hours, or it will charge between certain hours. We're in credit with EDF anyway, because we get what they call a check energy, where if you're on low income, the government provides you with a check towards energy bills, so you can spend it on like your oil for your central heating and this, that, and the other. So we are quite in credit. So when it does charge up, it charges. You can't do anything about the weather. If it's not sunny, you're not going to get the power coming in. But yeah, so it's charging now, which would be a bit annoying, because if it was like really sunny tomorrow and your battery's already at close to full, you're going to have to start using stuff in the house to benefit having all the solar panels outside. But I think the weather for the next few days is pretty crap. So obviously it's charging the batteries up now. That'll probably finish in the early hours of the morning. I think from 20% it takes about 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours to charge them all the way back up to 100%. There's no cheap rate on our tariff. So our price per unit is the same whatever time of day it is. So it doesn't really make any difference whether we charge up through the night or during the day. You see, using switches and stuff to bypass the inverter, and it just gets a bit too complicated for me. I've got the system set up. We've got 2 consumer boxes. One is for the grid, one is for solar. So we've got 3-phase electric here. So we've got 3-phase coming into that consumer unit. So the 3 phases power different things. We've got the Hobbit's oven and a socket on one, the garage is on another, and the grid feed is on the other phase. So that runs down into the inverter. Inverter then runs up to the other consumer unit. That's got all our loads. So pretty much all the sockets in the house, the hot water tank, my oven, all the microwave and all that kind of thing. So you've got 2 separate consumer units. The way I've got it worked out, I can work it out in my head what's going on. When it gets a bit complicated with electrics, it's like, straight over the top. It's like a lot of people have said, why don't you sell back to EDF? You can't do that yourself. You have to have a company in to do it, and that all costs money, basically. And every time, we've had EDF out before, they had an offer going to fit solar panels, and you sell the electric, you use the electric during the day, any excess you sell back to EDF, and then you buy it back, when the sun goes in. And he was out there, he was doing all his sums, he said €15,000. I said, well, what do you get for that? He said 7 panels on the roof and all the wizardry indoors that sends it back to the grid. And I was like, bloody hell, that's a lot of money. 15 grand for 7 panels. Plus, they didn't buy it back off of you for the same price that you buy it off of them. And it was just like, no, that's too much money. I think what happened was he pulled up, saw 2 Range Rovers parked up outside and thought, they've got some money. We'll fleece these 2. Anyway, we said no, too much. And he went away and he came back, 13,000. Too much. He got down to 11 in the end, didn't he?
Yeah.
11,000 for 7 panels. And it's like, no. So we'll jog on with that one. So when we started seriously talking about doing our own solar system, we've done it all off our own backs. So we don't sell anything back to the grid. We store and use all the power that we generate ourselves. So yeah, the way it's all wired up, I can get my head around it. It's not too difficult for me, because I wouldn't say I'm simple. There's certain things are just a bit above my pay grade. Wiring in switches and stuff to bypass the inverter. No, I don't think so. The inverter does all that anyway. When those batteries hit 20%, the inverter goes to grid bypass automatically. And so while it's bypassing the inverter. The inverter's also charging, the grid is also charging the batteries up through the charging thing inside the inverter. It's like a hybrid inverter, they call it. But it was pointed out to me that it's not really a hybrid inverter, it's just an all-in-one. So you've got, obviously, your MPPT charge controller inside it. You've got a 5 kilowatt inverter, and you've got a battery charger, which charges your batteries. So it's all in one. So I did get told off for calling it a hybrid. I mean, it's marketed as a hybrid inverter. So I was only putting out there what they call it. Anyway, that's enough of that. So I think you're getting too technical now. An AC wave generator? You bugger. Now I'd think that was something to do with surfing. One of these big swimming pools what they can surf in. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's Roger, is that the Roger that emailed me? When will your chili products be available? Yes! I'm sorry I never emailed you back, Roger. It just went to shit, basically, here. Obviously with The Hobbit and this, that and the other. Treatment plans and this, that and the other. It was going to do one thing, now it is another. And everything was up in the air. And I have been meaning to email you. And I did say to The Hobbit, can you see if we've got some of those pots? I'll email you tomorrow. I think The Hobbit said we've got a chili relish, onion chili relish down there. We've got the salt and pepper. We haven't got any lemon salt, but I can do you a sachet of lemon chili powder. And we haven't got any of the sauce, but I've got a bottle of Nitro Naga sauce. The Nitro Naga sauce is all bottled up and labelled, good to go. The other stuff, I'll have to make it up fresh and it won't have labels on it. So if you're worried about labels, then I haven't got any. But yes, I will email you tomorrow. Because I think the Hobbit's going down in the dungeon. Because I'm cooking a curry tomorrow and I'll need a tin of tomatoes. All our stuff is down in the dungeon, in the cellar. So I'll see. She's going to see if we've got any onion relish. And then I'll let you know what we've got, and you can come and get it. Because I believe you're only just up the road. So yeah, I have been. I said to The Hobbit earlier about sod it. I've got bloody all them chili bits to sort out. I knew it because I did email you. I said I was gonna see what we've got and what with one thing or another. Hobbit's doing all right. She was due to start a second round of chemotherapy on this trial. I don't know if you watched the videos where I've mentioned it. She obviously had first round of chemo, surgery, radiotherapy, and then it was going to be a bit of a break, and then she was going to go for another round of chemotherapy because they said it was a aggressive tumour. Is that right?
Grade 3, stage 3. It still is grade 3, stage 3. The risk is still the same, but I'm not on the chemo.
After the biopsy of the tumour, when they removed it, they said it's gone up to grade 3, stage 3. It's still at that risk, grade 3, stage 3. It's high risk of it coming back. And was it coming back and spreading? Coming back or spreading. So they said, well, there's this trial that we're running. They're going to be trying out this drug, this, that and the other. Do you want to sign up for it? So she went through all the paperwork and saw all these different doctors and this, that and the other. And it was like, oh, another 6 months of chemo. Here we go, bloody hell. Because she had that port thing in her under the skin where they was putting it in last time, but that all went bad, so she had to have that removed. So she was going to be going in for having a PICC line fitted in her arm, so she could have the new chemo put in there. Anyway, about a week before it was all going to be starting again, someone phoned up and said, "Oh, you've not been accepted on the trial. An administration error." Oh, bloody hell! So she's getting herself all psyched up for another round of chemo, and then it's like, well, you're not going to get that now. And it's like, well, they've told me the grade has gone up from the first assessment. It's now high risk or a chance of high chance of spreading this, that, and the other. Why are they not doing it? This, that, and the other. So she went to see the doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh no, it's not an administration error. There's too many people on the trial. It's still a high risk and it's still a chance of spreading. But you're going to be on these drugs and then monitored closely." She's got rendezvous every 3 months, so they're going to be keeping a good eye on her. But she's going to be on these drugs for 2 years, was it? And then they'll reassess. And then they'll assess and then put her on something else. And then she got a thing on Monospace Sante. Was it on there? Yeah. And it was basically saying that because the chemo that she'd had before was for 16 weeks.
No, something about 16 weeks. Mine was 18, so I'm assuming I've had too much.
So because it said something in the paperwork about, for this trial, chemotherapy for 16 weeks. Now, when she had her first chemo, it was for 18 weeks. So she wonders if she's had too much chemo already, which is why she's not been gone on the trial. So I thought, anyway, that's all behind us now. So she's on drugs. But, so I say, she's going to be having rendezvous with different doctors once every 3 months. For the foreseeable. And then obviously, as time goes on, I suppose the rendezvous will get further and further apart. But she's been told if you get anything, headaches or any kind of funny symptoms or anything, you get to your doctor. But other than that, she's not doing too bad. I think she was debating about whether to go back to work or not, but I think she's going to hold off for this year. Eh? Oh, because she's got to get her cataract sorted out. She's had one done. She had that done on the very last day of freedom before COVID.
On the very last morning?
Yeah, the very last morning. She was the very last operation that they did before the whole country went into lockdown. So she was back home for lunchtime on, was it the 17th of March? Yeah, so she's had one cataract done, but she needs the other one doing now. So she couldn't have any of that done while she's on chemo or radiotherapy or anything like that. So the plan is now that she's just on drugs, she's going to try and get the other cataract sorted out, get recovered from that, because her job is sort of seasonal. It's up at the campsite. So she can, I don't know how long it's going to be until she can get in for the cataract surgery. She's got to make an appointment with the optician. Then have the operation, and it was only sort of 10 days afterwards, wasn't it? Yeah, you could take that thing off.
Yeah, but I wasn't allowed to do anything heavy for 6 weeks.
Yeah, when she had her last cataract done, you had like a big sort of clear patch thing they put over your eye to protect it for 10 days, but you're not allowed to lift anything heavy for 6 weeks. So obviously, depending on how soon she can get in, and then she's got the recovery time, so by then her job would have gone quiet, so it'll be going back to work next year. Hence the reason we are doing overlanding on a budget, because money is scarce, basically. But yeah, it's all good stuff. We're all doing okay. So it's just things keep breaking. Was out mowing the grass the other day and collecting it up. The little tractor bloody packed up. I parked it up down by the house to have a drink. Wouldn't start, would it? Oh, Christ. So towed it up to the garage with the big tractor. And I tried it again and it started, but the start motor was still going. And even when I switched the ignition off and took the key out, the start motor was still going. Oh, bloody hell. So I just had to sit there. And the actual engine side of it stopped, but the starter was still going. So I just left it going until the battery went flat. But we've got a new ignition switch coming for that tomorrow, so hopefully that will fix it. So, right, it's 10:15. I've been in here for 2 hours and 18 minutes. It's now time for me to go, I reckon. So, Roger, I will email you that tomorrow. Oh, my bloody mouse has gone tits up again. Yeah, I'll email you tomorrow about the chili stuff, what we've got, and when you can come and get it and stuff like that. And other than that, I will bid you all a good night. Bonne nuit. I reckon. So, yeah. Keep your eye out for any future videos where I'll probably be discussing a Ben's Garage event if anyone's interested, and other bits and pieces. So hopefully some more Range Rover content coming up, and I'll probably get back to releasing videos on a Sunday evening again. So it seems to work quite well. And that's about it. So thank you all for joining us tonight. It says there's 6 of you in here, so 6 of you are obviously got nothing else better to do. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and we'll maybe catch you next time. So I'm going to end the stream now. So I shall sign off in my usual way, and here we go. Bye for now. End the stream.